Hey there, and welcome to the Audacious Agency Hot Seat, where we share entrepreneurial stories to inspire and motivate you to rocket launch your brand. I'm your host, Lauren Clement, the brand navigator. Welcome to the Hot Seat. So today in the Hot Seat, we have the fabulous Sonia Gibson from Accounting Heart. Sonia, please introduce yourself to the listeners. Tell us a little bit about where you've come from and why you started your business.
Yeah, so I'm the director of Accounting Heart, and I've come from a long line of jobs in professional accounting practice. And I started my business because I felt frustrated by working in traditional accounting firms. So by that I mean they're very much a bricks and mortar based firms, paper-based firms, and a male hierarchy within those firms. And I felt that there was a better way of doing things. So I thought I'd start Accounting Heart and see what would happen. Brilliant.
I love it. It's always the way, isn't it? Great entrepreneurs always find a problem to solve. And I guess that frustration in the way that the accounting industry has traditionally sort of run itself and those sorts of things is a big frustration. Is that you think that it's a frustration for you working within the industry? I'm sure there are people who've worked with accountants and found that from the outside looking in. I know you say that you believe the accounting industry has an image problem. What do you think that problem really is, and what do they need to do about it?
I think the accounting industry is traditionally seen as something that's very black and white and numbers based. And I think as business owners, we are heart centered. You know, humans are heart centered. And I think there needs to be that we need to take into account our hearts when we're making business decisions and when we're talking about numbers. And it's a very emotional thing. When people start talking about money and finances, things can get very emotional. And I've had lots of people crying in my office over the years in relation to their finances. And I think a lot of accountants don't actually recognise that when they're talking with people about money and business and that kind of thing. So I think that's something that we need to bring into our industry.
Yeah, the human element, it's so vital in most industries, but definitely with us, because you're right, finance is often an area in your life where the heart rate goes up and the sweaty palms, and people don't want to share the numbers because they're ashamed of what they should be doing and what they're not doing, or there might have been some issues, or, you know, we're all very secretive a little bit around talking about numbers and what's actually happening inside our businesses. And I guess if you're going to see an accountant and then you've got this fear that they're just going to sit there and judge you, you're not really going to have a great relationship with that accountant. It's certainly not going to help your business, is it?
No, it's not. And that's certainly one of the things that I've had feedback from clients about, and particularly female clients, where they've said that they've gone to a male accountant and they feel like they're sitting in the naughty chair across from the school principal. And there's that immediate barrier goes up and they don't feel comfortable asking questions and saying, I don't understand something. And, you know, for me, it's very much about putting the power back in the business owner's hands or the client's hands about their finances, and to demystify their financial situation and help them understand where they are and what they need to do next.
Brilliant. So how does Accounting Heart do that? What are the things that you've implemented in your business that's enabled you to have a different business model?
Yeah, so I guess we're predominantly, well, we're all women in the business. So obviously, you know, led by myself, and I've got 3 other wonderful women that work with me. And I think we're all very much values-based people, and we go back to those core values and the values of the firm, which is very much around being collaborative and encouraging financial independence for women and that kind of thing. So that's where the basis of the firm comes from. And I think that's then reflected in the way that we offer our services and the way that we do promote that we are approachable. And if you have a question, all you need to do is ask, and we're there to help you through that.
Brilliant. So those listening skills and explaining and communication skills and taking time and having patience with people, and that sounds extraordinary that you've sort of implemented that in a business and it's come naturally to you, which is very cool. Now, there are always challenges in business, Sonia, and I know with what you've been doing, obviously to create something a little bit different than the norm is always a challenge, but you've had a health challenge, which has affected your business. And how have you dealt with that?
Yeah, so back in 2018, right at the beginning of the year, I had a retinal hemorrhage, and it just kept hemorrhaging every couple of weeks. I'd end up back at the doctor's specialist with another retinal hemorrhage. And I carried on like that with, for the best part of 12 months, where I'd practically lose my eyesight for up to a week at a time in my left eye. And it's not terribly helpful when you're in front of a computer all day and you need your eyes to do your work. And then, you're spending large quantities of time in doctor's appointments and that kind of thing, trying to work out what's going on. And I guess, through that process, it was incredibly frustrating. But what I did learn is that you actually do need to take care of your health, and your health does come first, particularly when it's something as vital as your eyes. And it's something that I wish I'd done earlier, was actually bite the bullet and go and have the surgery to have it all cleaned up and cauterized so it wasn't going to hemorrhage again. But, I guess we all try and struggle on. And, they always say that surgery is a bad thing, but I think in this case it was absolutely necessary.
Isn't it interesting that often women in business do that? They struggle on, and in reality they would be better going, right, let's take the pain, bite the bullet and get that done so we can actually sustain our businesses long term. Why do you think it is that women do that we just battle on and put things aside and don't put our own health as a primary focus?
Yeah, look, I mean, for me it was that hope that would get better, and being told that, just be patient, it'll get better. But then you come to a realization that the 2 weeks that's going to take to recover from the surgery and not being able to work or drive or do anything in those 2 weeks is actually a much quicker solution than just waiting it out.
And I take it that patience isn't one of your strong points?
No, it's not. I'm always there. Get there faster, quicker, whatever way I can. So I'm very much into asking people for help, and if there's somebody there that knows something more about something than what I do, I'm first to put my hand up.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. That is such a great lesson in business, isn't it, as well, to know that, look, it's not all about trying to do it yourself. It's about surrounding yourself with the right people and asking for help when you need it and getting that help to get through it. And yes, you need to be patient. You can't do everything at once, and you need to give yourself breaks. So how did you get around that? So obviously eventually your eye problems sorted themselves up, or did you go and have the surgery and you got that done?
So I went and had the surgery, and then it all happened again. So then I ended up back in surgery, and so like 3 months later. And fortunately, I haven't had any problems since.
Oh, brilliant. Awesome. So what a challenge. And always in business with health, you've got to, it's that, balancing act, isn't it, of what you're doing. So that's fantastic.
It is.
And you've made some incredible ground as well. You've achieved some incredible things while you've been in business. And I understand you've won the 2020 Women in Finance Award for Accountant of the Year. Tell me about that.
Yeah, no, that was something that was quite unexpected. It was the first time I'd entered an award, and I'd actually been nominated by one of my clients for the award. And I decided that, why not go for it? So I reached out to the Audacious agency to give me a hand with that. And lo and behold, I actually won the award. And I think that that's one of the highlights of my career, is actually in winning that award and getting that recognition that the business that I've created is something that is industry leading. It's something that's unique, and it's something that our industry recognises as being worthy of an award.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you've done is worthy of an award. So it's been a pleasure to be sharing your story in the award entries. I remember helping to put that together and seeing what you'd done and what you'd achieved. And the interesting thing is, I think it's important, I'm sure you would agree with me, that women who are changing the world, women who are taking a risk to show that there's a different way of doing things, that you can change traditionally what's been a very patriarchal industry to being something a bit more heart-centered and a bit more human, so that things can improve and so on. And to step out of that comfort zone and take a risk is important. And that does need to be rewarded, doesn't it, to encourage other women to do the same?
I think it does, because, I mean, it was validating of my business model. And I very much hold myself out to being the change that I want to see within the accounting profession. So to get that recognition, and from that, and because I won that award, I've actually had my professional association, their magazine, reach out to me and ask me for comment on certain things. I've also been invited to speak at a seminar for mortgage brokers in the next couple of weeks and that kind of thing. So I don't think those opportunities would have arisen except for having won that award.
Brilliant. That's great to hear. So leveraging the award already to be now seen as that expert and those connections that you're making. Well done. That's fantastic. That's great news, Sonia.
Great. Thanks,
now,
Lauren.
if you are just tuning in, this is the Audacious Hot Seat. And I'm with our very special guest, Sonia Gibson of Accounting Heart. And you can find more episodes like this at the Audacious Agency's YouTube channel, or the Rocket Launcher Business Facebook group, or of course where you get your favourite podcasts. Now, obviously you've entered awards, Sonia, and now you're leveraging that and getting interviewed and articles and so on. Where do you see the future of your business going? What would you like to see as a big goal for Accounting Heart?
I'd like to be seen as a thought leader within our industry, and I'm certainly working on a couple of projects at the moment that would certainly lead us down that way in terms of how we tax families. So working on some pieces there. And certainly with women in the workforce and maternity leave and how we can potentially improve that system, because I think there's a lot of disincentive for employers to employ women still within the workforce, and I'd love to see those barriers removed and have conversations around how we actually go about doing that. So I very much see Accounting Heart sort of taking a leadership role within that thought leadership space and how we can achieve greater gender equality, but through policy change in the way that we're doing things rather than just advocating without solution.
I love it. Yes, keep talking, but take some action as well. Let's talk more action. Yes, let's do it. I think so.
And I think everyone's aware of what the issues are, but what are the solutions to those issues? And unless we start putting the solutions out there, I don't know that we're going to see change.
Yeah, absolutely. And you need those thought leaders to create those pathways for people to follow, to say, oh, no, that's what we have to do. Awesome. So, and it's better than just having, as you say, checklists and you have to do this sort of thing, and making it part of a business wanting to do it, to create a better environment for their staff and for their business and to be more sustainable. So, Sonia, if you could go back to when you first started your business all those years ago, and you could sit down with yourself and give yourself some advice, what do you think you would tell yourself?
Be patient. It will come.
So it's going to take a lot longer than. Do you think it's taken you a lot longer than you thought it would to get to where you are?
I always said that it would take 5 years, or I'd give myself 5 years, and I think once I got to year 3, I could sort of see that this business did have longevity within it, and that it was viable, and it was growing, and it was doing all of had all of the right and encouraging signs. But I think when it comes to starting a business, there's a reason why businesses go out of business within the first 3 years, and that's because they don't have the cash flow to sustain themselves. So I think and they also are very dependent upon cash invested back into them to grow. So unless you're prepared to make that sacrifice, I don't think that being in business is for you. But yeah, it takes time.
Yeah, absolutely. Time. And do you think it's helped that you've had a real passion behind what you're doing that's encouraged you to keep going and to face those challenges and keep motivated?
I think it does. And I also have a creative side, and I think I've really enjoyed the creative side of my business. I've really enjoyed the branding, the business development, and those softer skills that accountants aren't traditionally well known for. I've really enjoyed expressing myself in that way. And I mean, it might sound kind of weird for an accountant to have that sort of skill set and to think that they're being creative within their business. But that's the side of the business I've actually really enjoyed. I think it's an important skill to have in business.
Yeah, creativity, so that you're always thinking ahead and outside the box and getting things going. I love it. So if you were going to give some advice to someone who maybe was in business and they'd started and maybe they're at that year 3 or 4 and they're just not sure what their next steps are, what would you maybe tell them that they can do to really keep their business going and move it and grow it?
I think the first thing, and one of the game changers for me, was actually understanding what my personal values were. And, I've had lots of conversations with business owners in that space. Do I stay within my business or do I go? And, what are those next steps? And I always take them back to, what are your personal values? How does that sit with you? What do the alternatives look like? And then make a decision from there. And I find that quite often business owners will go, okay, well, I am where I need to be, but these are the steps I need to take my business forward. And they get a new energy for their business and a new drive to see those goals, or to follow through on those goals.
Yeah, I love it. That alignment is so important, isn't it? And it's nice because it comes from your brand, heart-centered. That's the whole idea, isn't it? Is that if things are aligned with your passion and your purpose and your reason for being, your business is going to keep going and it's going to be successful because you've got a reason for doing it. So, Sonia, would you like to leave our listeners with any last advice on anything to do with either looking after their finances or accounting or just business in general, or if they maybe are a woman in business and they'd like some advice from you?
I think be kind to yourself when you start your business. Make sure that you do take time out for yourself, look after your health, take time to exercise, eat well, and all those sorts of things, because at the end of the day, your business is dependent upon you and the decisions that you make, and you need to make sure that you're in the best shape to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing more sustainable than looking after the business owner. Otherwise, it just doesn't do anything. Sonia, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you today about your business and about your journey. And it's also been a pleasure to help you with your rewards. Congratulations on your success and your ongoing success in growing your brand and your profile. You're doing extraordinary things. I encourage everybody, there'll be a link underneath this interview to go and check out Sonia's business, Accounting Heart, and to find out what they do and how they might be able to help you. And even just connecting with Sonia, if you're a woman in business or a business entrepreneur and you want to connect with people who are motivating and inspirational, Sonia would be certainly someone you would put in that realm. And you'll find her on LinkedIn, and there's lots of other links there for you to find her. Thank you so much, Sonia, for being here and for being in the hot seat with the Audacious Agency today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have a chat with you.
Great. Thank you, Lauren.
Thanks so much to our audacious guest sitting in the hot seat today, and to everyone for listening. Remember, be bold, be brave, be audacious. For more, subscribe to the podcast or YouTube channel, or join us in the Rocket Launch Your Business Facebook group. The links are in the description below.